do the recording, Greg?
Here it goes.
All
right. Good evening. This is the State of Connecticut Commission for Child Support Guidelines. This is our April 2nd meeting. I'll start off with the roll call. Chief Magistrate Ferguson, present. Attorney Graham Schaefer.
Present.
Attorney Carolyn Signorelli.
Present.
Attorney Darren Pruslow. I don't think he's going to be here. State Representative Cara Pavlock D'Amato.
Here.
Attorney Allison Post.
Present.
Attorney Michael Werner. I saw him.
Present, Your Honor.
Attorney Virginia Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Susan Hamilton. Attorney Campbell Barrett. I believe he's not going to be here tonight as well, correct?
That's right. He did let us know.
Okay. Senator Gary Winfield. Attorney Scott Storms. Attorney Amy McNamara. All right, I believe we do have a quorum. All right, I guess this should be a quick meeting. And so just to start, entertain a motion for to accept the minutes from our March 5th, 2006 meeting.
I'll move to accept the meetings from the March meeting.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any questions? Questions? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed having the same right. Hearing none, motion carries. And then I guess I'll let Graham speak a little bit about the proposed regulations that's been accepted. Attorney Schaefer.
Yeah, that's really the only update, Your Honor, is that I think last time we met, I had reported that the proposed regs had, been approved with technical corrections by the Regs Review Committee, and that I had filed them with the corrections with the Secretary of the State's office. Since then, the Secretary of the State's office has accepted the filing, and so we are done with the reg. It'll become effective August 1st, 2026.
All right, any questions? And again, I thank the people that were there. It was my first time. I didn't know how the process worked. And the people that went before us, they had quite a few questions. But when they called ours, not a single question. So that was pretty interesting. And I know some others were watching via the remote. All right, the reason we really want to call the meeting is just to check to see how everyone's doing with the preamble. And I submitted my draft, my sections, and it was, I think it was added to the draft. And I believe Representative Cara Pavlock D'Amato, she sent hers in as well, along with Attorney Graham. And so we really just want to make sure that people are working on their sections. We have time. We just don't want to have it get away from us because it comes up very quickly. And with those who have not had their sections done, I know some are shooting for May 1st. We did no names. We need to get those in. But Attorney Schaefer, are all the sections handed out? They should be, right?
Everything's accounted for, Your Honor. So just, I think there's a few people that still have some outstanding ones. I still have some more portions that I've taken on that I need to finalize, but I did circulate the most recent draft, like a couple hours before the meeting today. I'd circulated a draft previously a week ago with the agenda, but it's been updated with a few more sections added. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go through what's been drafted so far. If so, and there's questions or concerns, we can raise those today. But I also just wanted to get a little bit of feedback from the group about one thing, and maybe I can share my screen to orient us here. Let me see if I can do this. Is everybody seeing my screen now? the guideline, the preamble up, the draft preamble?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my question is, if you go through, we're kind of working off of last commission's preamble as a starting point. I'm editing from there. And if you go through it, there's a lot of places where we did make changes or we considered changes that we didn't ultimately make, and we need to explain our deliberations. But there are also some sections in here where it's just like it's not really any aspect of the guidelines that we even discussed or raised, to tell you the truth. It was sort of just out of mind, out of sight, that nobody on the commission had reason to seek any kind of changes with these sections. So here's an example where the previous commission did make some changes to the guidelines concerning cases where another child resides with the parent. Do we want in these sections that we didn't touch in any way, we didn't deliberate on in any way, do we want to leave those in there and simply say we've decided to make no changes because we think everything is working according to plan? Or do we want to just whole cloth remove these provisions that like we didn't touch at all? I guess that's kind of the question. I was kind of originally planning on um, updating and saying we think everything is working, but it is not quite as section by section as I originally thought it was. Going through the guidelines and touching every single thing, it does seem like there was some selectivity involved with the previous commission's preamble about what they included in the preamble and what they didn't, and they were largely focused on things that they changed or things that they talked about and didn't change. I could go either way. I didn't know what you guys thought. I mean, one thing we can just do is rework the language to provide historical context about what the previous commissions did and just say we decided to make no changes so that this is sort of like a living document that memorializes everything that's happened over the years, or we could just remove these sections.
Graham, I have a question. I mean, are the sections talking about things that still apply?
Yeah, I mean, so for instance, like this section, they go back to 99 and the changes that were made then, and they explain why they made additional changes. So we could do, I mean, there's still provisions of the guidelines that are applicable. It's not like them talking about sections that they removed or something like that, right?
So you're saying like where it says the present commission has deleted the requirement, we would need to put
Right.
something like,
We would
this
need to put that in
requirement was
historical.
previously deleted, but we're leaving it the way it is.
Right. We still agree with the state of this provision and are leaving it as is, something like that.
Well, I
Yeah,
feel like we'd need to do that, just otherwise it's gonna be confusing, right? To say the present commission.
yeah, I agree with Attorney Signorelli, that
Okay.
we need to put something in there, even if it's a one line saying that
Okay.
we didn't address it. We thought everything was okay.
Okay, that's fine. So then that just means I'll need to go through sort of like every section in here and kind of change the terminology from we changed to the previous commission made this change. We continue to believe
Right.
that that was appropriate and have left this section of the guidelines unchanged.
Yeah, and I would keep it as brief as possible, not really, obviously, since we didn't discuss it. Um, don't go into any explanation or anything, because
Right.
Okay.
And it should
should be
be,
fine.
you should be able to use the same language for each section, right? If it's just a one liner, I agree with Attorney Signorelli. We don't have to go into it because we didn't discuss it.
Okay. No, that's fine. And that's effectively what I'm doing with the sections we did change or we talked about and didn't change. I'm rewording what's already there to kind of explain the lineage of the section in question and then why we're making additional changes or why we considered additional changes but chose not to actually follow through with those. Okay. Has anybody had a chance to look through it at all and anybody have any feedback or anything?
I looked through everything other than the one that was submitted at the end. I didn't get a chance to look through that one. But it looked pretty good. And I submitted and you made some changes. I thought they were pretty good, actually. It kind of tied it all in. So that way it looks like an even flow. So it looks pretty good.
Okay, well, we're getting there. Just as a reminder, what the judicial branch has told us is that they need a completed draft by, I think it's June 15th. in order to print everything. And I did reach out to the Secretary of the State's office. They are gonna get me a PDF document of the full guidelines with all of our revisions in it, so that we can include that with the preamble in one document that we'll then send to the judicial branch to publish. So I'm still waiting to get that from them. And when we're done with the preamble and we're good with the language, then I can combine the two documents into one and we can send it off to the judicial branch. That'll be the plan.
All right. Any questions or comments regarding the preamble or the next steps?
I would just say that it would be really good to have everything done to the extent possible by the May meeting, because then that gives us a buffer if we need to come back in June and discuss other things before that June 15th deadline that we have with the judicial branch. So if we can have like everything consolidated into one document, hopefully by the May meeting, maybe ambitious, I don't know, but that would be really preferable, I think.
All right.
And
Right.
Graham, do you want us to just make our changes on the document we have and then send it to you or do you want to try to share it? One document some
Well,
way?
I didn't know if I could share it outside of the state, Carolyn, which is why I didn't do that. And so I was just gonna do sort of and also just to make sure we had one master document that is working, I was just gonna have people send me their changes and I would ensure everything gets incorporated and then I can share it with the group. So if you wanna, yeah, I've shared, you can take the last draft and do the redlining like I have on your version, on your section, and send it to me, and then I can incorporate those changes. Or you can just give me how you want it to read and I can implement the changes. It's really up to you. I think that's what people have been doing so far.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments or suggestions or concerns?
And Graham, I'll reach out to you about the shared parenting.
Okay, and I actually already started to do some of that, Kara. So you can take a look at what I've already put in there. I think there's 2 sections where the shared parenting needs to be discussed, and I already did one of them, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
And just this past week, so it's in there and you can take a look. But then I'd be happy to discuss it. I think it would be helpful.
Okay, sounds good.
Any further comments, suggestions, corrections? All right. Well, our next meeting will be May 7th, 2026, and hopefully we'll have all of the changes in by then, and then we can look at it. And like Graham indicated, that'll give us a chance for at least a month if we have to do any changes or edits for our June meeting, and then we can get it to the judicial branch by the June 15 deadline. All right.
Right.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you all. I greatly appreciate all the work, and we'll see you on May 7th. And again, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
See everybody.